what's our philosophy on manufacturing? The idea is that Acumatica has their own manufacturing product, but it's quite complex. And if that's the type of manufacturing you do, it's the product that we'd probably recommend. But we found for a lot of people that are doing, say, not particularly high volume make to order type of manufacturing, there, in some ways like you, custom manufacturers, that we've got a product that might suit that style of manufacturing a little more. We do support 3 different types of manufacturing. What we call make to stock, which is where you're one of these people who are running out and looking at you're taking orders for thousands of items off the internet, and you're getting some sort of a volume every month of the particular products that you're building, and we'll go through and we can actually use our product and apply some algorithms and figure out, what you should build in preparedness for the orders that you're going to get down the road. That's what we call make to order. I don't think that's particularly your style, and we probably won't concentrate that on that today because of time limitations. So then there's the other method that's kind of make to order, and I think that's probably going to be the method that we support that suits you best. And that's where you're driven by, I get a sale and now I'm going to build it, or I have to do a quote, I want to get a number to a customer and now I have to build it. So and then we do another style that may be applicable to you, is where the phone rings and the guy says, I want you to do a completely custom job. There is no specification. It might be a repair. It might be a modification. A product's going to come back. I'm going to do some custom work on it. I want a sales order. I have to have a work order to drive that into the shop, to schedule it and to build it and to buy product for it. I want to be able to handle that type of manufacturing too. So we do that, and I'll touch very quickly on how we support that. So let's take a look at our basic work order. If I look at one of our basic work orders that's in the system, of course, I'm, as Eric said, driving this from the production manager dashboard. So here in the production manager dashboard, I have the ability to look at all of my work orders in the various categories that they are, what's late, and everything. So I'm going to go off of here back to my main menu, and I'm going to go and I'm going to open up production orders here. And we can look here, and I have work orders that are in various states. You'll notice that I have all sorts of states for work orders. I can have work orders that are completed. Those are the ones that the sales guys are happy about. I can have ones that are released. We're working on those. Ones that I've released, and I've finished some of the product on these ones. I haven't completely finished everything, but the phone rang, and everybody who's been in the production department gets this call. I know we've got an order in for 10. How fast can I get 2, right? And so we support that type of an operation as well. And we actually support multi-level builds. So if you're noticing here where I am here, I'm looking on a top-level item that was released. So we wanted to build 2 of these. Well, that actually contains this item that I also build. And then this item that I build here, that item that I built there actually contains items that are built itself. So we'll go all the way through. When you put a work order in and you want to build something, we'll go through and we'll check what inventory you have at each level of your build. So I may have, in your instance, you may make a lot of standard drawer sizes, and you may make a lot of standard cabinet sizes, and you may sort of build some of these that are sitting there in expectation for an order. And so when you get an order, you actually will have some of that in an inventory, and you can pull it from inventory and build it quicker. Or you may decide you want to build it for everybody. If I go in and I look at that top level work order, I can look here. It's got basic information for me here where I'm going through, and this came from my specification. So what I do is if I have a standard way that I generally build something, but we're a very fluid system, you're not locked into that. If I have a standard way that I generally build something, I can document that. And then when I create a work order, if I go in and I just say I want to create a work order for this item here, I put that item in here, and this is a complex high-level item. I'll put that in. It will bring all of the items for that work order in. So these are all of the items that I want. So when I put in my quantity of 2, if I do that, it'll extrapolate everything and tell me what's the total quantity I want. So I want 8 of those. So immediately I want to know, where am I? Oh, okay, I have 11 of them on hand. I have 139 available. And I have 241 in purchasing. So it's giving me all sorts of information that I want about the individual time. Because that's pretty good, because I've got, on this particular item, I've got a 120-day lead time if I don't have it. So in your business, that might be some specialty handle that somebody needs, or component that somebody wants that you're dependent upon another supplier. It'll tell me that right here and now. But I don't have to do that individually. I can ask the system to go out and check my inventory right here. So it'll run through, and it'll take into account all of the other orders and all of the other POs and all of the other inventory, and it'll tell me what status I'm at. So you'll notice right here, it tells me that I have to order that item.
Okay, so Greg, I just have a question so that we can answer this effectively. So one of the things we do is, let's say we get a job, a big job, it's a $100,000 job. We have a kitchen. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but Canadian brew houses, we are doing all the Canadian brew houses, all of it's best in Canada right now. So each kitchen is about $100,000, but not $100,000. Each job might have 90 components. So there's one sales order with 90 work orders in it. Our current problem is that they're so custom, they're so flexible that right now, let's say they said, oh, everything has to be requires a different kind of bill of materials that we need to pull out of. And absent right now is entering all the templates, because we have discovered we've made 4 of them. We're going to do 11 more kitchens. He's entering those templates, and then one picks up like a dish table. So it brings out how much material it's going to pick out. It automatically will do that. If you put a job like dish table, and it'll automatically pull out a template of the materials it needs.
Yeah, it will. We will. We'll calculate all the materials that you need for this and everything. Well, let me just go over a few more points here, and then I'll try to do an example of what your order might be. So what I'm doing is I'm planning the order. Now, one of the things I said, we're very fluid. Like, you may say you may start with a standard template, and then I may change the quantity that I want. I may want 4 of these, right? And then I may want to go and I may want to say, well, I think there's going to be some extra labor here. So I think that we're actually, instead of 120, we're actually going to do 150. I can go through and I can make those changes right here. Okay. And so I'm doing that. But let's work backwards from another way. Let's say start from a sales order. So you just said you're going to get an order for $100,000. Let's go in and let's put an order for a sales order in here. So what I'm going to do is we've taken an order. I won't go into the quotation process right now because I will run out of time if I do that. But what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll create a sales order here. My system's just warming up because I haven't opened up sales orders for a long time. So just give it a sec.
So we get orders and different work orders attached to it, and then each work order sometimes dates keep changing because install dates change, expectation change.
I'm going to show you one with multiple work orders here. So, okay, so I'm going to go through. Oh, I hit the wrong form. I'm sorry, my fault. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to go to new sales order. So I'm going to create a new sales order. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick a customer. So we'll pick Texas, always comes up with one. A&M University, we're going to do some stuff for their lab. So I'm going to go through here. And I'm going to enter one of my products, and this is a high-level product like this. And so that's, say, some cabinet. We want 2 of those. And I want another product, which is, we want some of these. Okay. And I want that. And then I want another one. And let's just pick another product, which is a 500. This is Freddie's number, 505-400.
And as an example, Greg, this could be a stove, which is the first line. The second could be the countertops, and the third could be a storage facility. And Chitwan, would that be an example of the type of order you're talking about? Or would it be upper level And these would all be sub-levels to it, because we can do it both ways.
What I'm talking about is just my basic templates. So these, let's say I'm doing I'm picking out a bunch of base cabinets. Now, they're not going to be standard. So I'm going to go and show you how I'm going to make these non-standard. So I've gone through here and I've created this work order. I'm going to save this work order now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that these are going to be dedicated work orders, which means that I'm going to build a unique bespoke build of this particular item that I have for this here. So I'll go through here now.
So now we've tied this work order to the sales order. Fair enough?
Orders.
That's what we just did.
Because we were discussing earlier that we may have 20, 30 work orders that are going to go out to the shop for one big order. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to generate the work orders for all of those items that I'm going to build in the shop. So it'll go through now, and it's created the work orders. So you'll know that I have 3 work orders now. Okay. So now I can go to any individual work order, and I can look at that, and I can say, okay, what's going to make that job unique is I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to put in some breaking. What am I going to do here? Oh, component ID. I'm going to put in let's say shear. Okay, breaking and shearing. We're going to do some extra breaking and shearing. Okay, minutes, $1.85 a minute. I figure it's going to take me an extra 3 hours, which is going to be 180 minutes. I'm going to do that. So I've now added that. I can go in and add some material here. So I can add some material, and I can do, I can either type the part number if I know it, or just type the description. It'll come in. 310196 with one I threw in for you. We throw that in, and it's going to be stainless steel. And I'm going to say, how many square feet am I going to need to do that? Well, I'm going to need, let's put a huge number in here. I need, let's say 500 square, 5,000. That'd be a big job. I'm going to put in 500 square feet that I need. So I can now save that. So I've now modified that. That order is unique to my sales order right there, my customer right there. And now I can go through and I can look at all of the individual items in there. I can check inventory and tell you where I am. In our new version, you're going to be able to go through and see if you have any shortages right from the sales order. You'll be able to look out there and it'll say, hey, you have asked for 20 of these units. It's going to take you the fastest you could possibly deliver these to the customer is this date because you have some component requirement or something like that. So I've gone through there and I've created that unique work order for this particular item on my sales order. Now I've got something else I'm going to do. I'm going to do a completely custom job. Never saw this job before, right? So we're going to do some custom fab, okay? We're going to go in and we're going to do that, okay? And now we'll say we only have one custom job, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run out and I'm going to say, okay, yeah, I'll change the changes. Now I'm going to run out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse and I'm going to add a drawing here, right? So I'll go to my desktop and I've got my, where would it be? Vessel here. Let's say this is it. So I can add the drawing here, okay? And now I can upload that. This is exactly what Eric did. He uploaded it. But this is going to follow it around and ultimately get to the work order. This is going to be attached to the work order when I generate it. So the salesperson can take the markup of the vessel and everything that we want, attach it to the sales order, and then go through. So let's generate the work order. Let's go through and generate the work order for that. And you'll notice that it'll generate a work order now. So notice I'm not locked in. I can just keep going and adding. These orders could potentially live perpetually. So we'll go into the work order, and it's going to be a blank item, nothing, because it has no spec. So now I'm going to add material. So now I can add my 316 stainless. Okay, I can add that material there. Whoops, didn't like that. So let's just add my 310 196. Yeah. And there's my ASTM 316. I can put my feet in there, you know, whatever I want, right? So you get the idea. I can do this. And now, you know, I can get back through.
And then my question is, can we assign different dates of completion to each?
Yeah, each work order has a date. If we go in and we look at the work order, you can assign the date you want it today. Now, it defaults to today's day, but if we need it by this day, we'll use this day. And then when we're figuring out our materials, we'll work back from the day you want to have it done. Okay. And ours is fairly simple. It basically says, the work that you have to do, you need the materials before you start doing the work. So how long will it take? If it's going to take a week to do the work, I need the materials here a week before then. Okay. And we have a system that will actually go in and I'm just going to save this. So that was a completely custom job we did. And then if I want, I can actually go in. I can actually purchase materials for this work order directly from here. If I'm expediting my orders and working through on my I can just check my inventory. Okay, that one, I have enough inventory, so I'm happy there. Let's go back and check my inventory on this one. And let's just go through and I'll check the inventory. I'm looking for one that, okay, here's one here where I have to buy some stainless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete planning on this work order. I'm moving it to another stage now, where this next stage is actually going to look at all the potential items that I have to build this item. In this case, I don't have any, so it hasn't done anything. But what I have to do now is I actually have to log out. The reason is, as this user that I am, I don't have permission to purchase. So I have to log in as another user who has the permission to purchase. And so I'm going to do that.
And then you'll go there and directly issue the purchase order. That's something we do it right now too. That's something I get. So when we do the job costing process, it can cost for the whole job as one, and it can job cost per work order, correct?
Well, I'll show you. Yeah, right now we're job costing per work order. So if I go into my production orders and I look at one that I just completed, okay, what I can see is at the end of the job, it's going to tell me what my plan costs were, okay, and then it's going to tell me what my actual costs were and what my variance was. In this case, what we did is we back flushed this order. And what that means is if you're in a hurry and you generally don't have any scrap or any overages, or you don't exceed the time that you're expecting to, or do it quicker, then you can just do what we call a quick complete. And that just is a standard back flush of your bill of materials and your routing, which book your costs. And your costs are all booked into the system. Oh, again, now as this user, I don't have rights to be able to look at financial transactions. So you can lock things down. But let's just go back and look at a few production orders here that we have, a couple that are completed. I want to find one with a variance so you can see what a variance looks like. So here's one with a variance. We had a material variance on this one, or did we? I'm going to rerun my cost analysis. So here's one where we had a material variance. And you'd say, well, why would I have a material variance? I can have a material variance from my planned costs for several reasons. One reason might be I might be FIFO. So first inventory in, it's first inventory out. The inventory that was there when I priced this order was cheaper, but when I actually got to it, I bought it and it was more expensive. So, my cost per unit is now $116. Yeah. That could be one reason. Another reason is I could have overages, and another reason is I could have scrap. We actually will track scrap as well. So you can have those things will be variances. Now, for a particular order, for the order to go back to the sales order to figure out your profitability on the sales order, currently we do not have one report that would roll it up, but it would be a very good idea for us to have the one report that would roll up all of the purchase orders.
All right.
So, all of the work orders. So,
Right.
you make a good point to do that.
Okay. I would confirm that if that is to the labor is also tracked at the live, like guys can track their put in the time they used live.
Right. So I'm gonna log out again, and I'm gonna log back in as the administrator here, because I've got all the rights except purchasing, by the way. I'm gonna log in here now to record your labor. We have a number of ways you can do it, and the way people record labor is kind of all over the map. Some people, what they will do is, if your production demands it, they may actually have a work order, and you end up with a traveler that actually goes out to the shop floor. So you'll have a work order that goes out to the shop floor.
Okay.
So you have a work order that goes out to the shop floor. And here are the labor tasks that are on there. So these are the labor and non-stock items. So the workers can actually record their time here and then hand that off to somebody else. That might be one way you do it. Okay. Another way that you can do it is you can, we have a form here where users can actually put their time in. So this would be somebody on the shop floor can put their time in. They would go in, they would have the traveler in front of them, then they might put that there today. They have a unique access code that they type in, okay, that they do that. Then they pick the operation that they were working on. Now what they can do is they can put in the actual time they start and they stop, or they can just put in that they worked 2 minutes on this, right?
Okay, and then this kind of report can also be used for data collection of the time, labor hours worked for payroll as well, right?
It does. All this information that we capture here actually rolls up. If I look at a production order, all of this actually would roll up to one of these. Oh, not a good one, though.
It'll go to the labor report, right?
It would roll up here to these quantity consumed times. So that cumulative number that we keep collecting, because I may have 4 workers working on an operation. Maybe it's assembly, and I have 4 workers working on that. Well, I could have 4 independent workers keying their time in that form, and the aggregation of all of their work will end up in this quantity consumed column.
Yeah, but if I wanted to see what each employee did, looking at their productivity, I could drill down on that, right? So I can also pay them.
We currently don't have a direct feed into payroll from this system. We're really capturing costs just for job costing.
Right. So, Greg, excuse me, Greg, you do have the report, though, that if I have 10 people on this, and let's just say, to make the math simple, they each did 6 hours, you'd have a report that said person 1, 6, person 2, 6, person 3, 6, correct? So I know what the labor of each individual person is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. On the jobs.
That's all Chitwin's asking. So can you show that?
So what's going on right now, guys, we see that this labor one, let's say guy A, worked 7 hours on that day on 3 jobs. So we want to be able to schedule that accordingly. Can we do a scheduling thing? So this guy is scheduling, he's working on 3 jobs, he's going to finish this job, this guy's job is assigned to this guy, so we need to schedule him. That is what I'm asking. And then we can see this labor.
Okay, what you're...
Not translate into payroll in the system. We do a payroll with an external system, ADP right now. But otherwise somebody will have to physically count their hours, right? Because there's no income. We use currently JobBoss data collection module. They log in, they log out, and they allocate time to different jobs. And at the end of the day, we see how many hours they worked.
Right. If you ask the system will go out and it will schedule a start time, and it will schedule an end time for you. And so you're saying 3 hours. So we'll say that this is going to be 3 hours. So the system the system can do that for you. 2 hours I've got there. So anyway, the system can do that for you. It'll go through and it'll suggest when you want to do it. But as we all know, it never happens like that on the shop floor. So what we're doing to coincide with the release of Acumatica 2021 R2, which will be the next major release of Acumatica, we are going to incorporate a scheduling board. So what you're going to see is this is just a prototype that we're building here right now. But what you're going to see is you're going to see all of the data from all of those operations that are going to be displayed here for you. And you're going to notice your resource and your resource utilization on the bottom. So you'll notice here that in my QA department, I only have one employee. His name is John. And I'm currently scheduling him for 16 hours on April 3rd. Well, if I don't want to do that, what I can do, you'll notice if I drag this around, you'll notice that time for John changes. So I can balance John's work schedule out so that it doesn't. And then when I save this, this will update these numbers here on this schedule. And then we can print a tentative schedule for what we would like the people to work on from this data right here. So I can either adjust it manually here, or I can adjust it in a scheduling board that we're going to have in the next version of our product. I'll be able to do this, and I'll be able to see my resource utilization here by individual or by department. So it could be by fabrication and paint or QA or whatever department I want. So I know whether I'm overloading welding or I'm overloading braking and shearing. I need to know, and that can mean two things. That can mean push out promised delivery dates, or ask guys to work overtime, or get more staff. So,
okay.
So just to confirm, we have, if you've got 5 people on a job, we can report on the individual hours per job. So, you know, John did 15 hours and George did 6 hours and Larry did 3 hours. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But my point, Jim, was for payroll.
Right.
You know, the amount of hours that people always work on a job aren't necessarily all the hours that they're paid, right?
Fair,
because
exactly.
Safety meeting, you know, how do I book that to a job, right? You know, right. Everybody has to go and they're paid for it. So
that's what we do here. We create a job we'll call admin job, so they can push their time into that job.
Oh, okay. Well, you figured it out. Okay.
There you go.
There's a good solution. So
the other thing I wanted to point out, just unless you have a question on this area, is back to replenishment. There's an MRP report. So you'll be able to go ahead and look at all your work orders, aggregate all the demand across all work orders and all their BOMs, and then it will tell you what you have to buy to meet the demand of those work orders by vendor. Because I would imagine in your business you buy a lot of products from various vendors. So you can run this report on a per job basis or on an aggregate basis. And the other thing you can do is you can say, okay, I'm going to go out and I know that in general I build 5 kitchens a month. So you can run a forecast on 5 generic kitchens and then go run this report on what you will have to buy to meet the demand of those generic kitchens.
Okay.
So you can forecast into the future and get a material or a material purchase or material requirements plan, which will then correlate to what your spend will be so that you can do cash flow analysis.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Greg now is just doing that. And so we have some customers like job shops, they just want to run the report per job. And then we have others that are more make to order and they want to run it across the aggregate. And we kind of think that you guys are like in the middle, right?
Yes.
You do the same thing, but you modify it each time, but you're building a countertop or a counter delivery system as an example.
A table will have 4 legs or 6 legs for us. We just have to make sure some of the customers say,
exactly. Perfect example. So if you say, okay, I'm going to go build 100 tables or, 1,200 tables a year or 100 tables a year, that's 8 a month type of thing, right? What's it going to cost me to get all the parts? And then as you go through the year, you can modify the BOM and no, I need 6 instead of 4, and then go take a look at your on-hand balances and go from there to expedite and whatnot.
Okay.
Right.
Quickly, Jim and Greg, maybe you can help. Can you name a few customers that are using this in Canada and Western Canada?
We don't have anybody in Western Canada. In the Western United States, we have a diesel company. They make diesel engines called DES. They're also a services company, by the way, because they not only remanufacture parts for diesel engines and make them, but they go out in the field and they service them.
And they have either a branch it's either Edmonton or Coquitlam. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So, yeah, because they've got a lot of service centers throughout the Western United States, and now I'm learning Western Canada. So thank you. And then we have another company called Nano, N-A-N-O, and they make medical device equipment that is, again, a variation on a common theme. And what they do is they separate cells in blood. Well, they've got a device that's about the size of a microwave, and they insert a cartridge into that. And the cartridge is the thing that handles the blood. And, it's about the size of an old VHS, movie thing. And each one of those is separately built. They're all custom built. So they use that. So those are 2 good examples of customers that we have. We have some other high volume guys that do light assembly is what we call it. They're a little bit different than you guys. They're more on the volume side. They're like distributors that, they assemble configured to order stuff, home goods and things like that, where they're putting the red pad on the chair one day and the green pad the next day kind of stuff. But they need a work order to go build it. But those are some examples.
Sounds good. So, thank you so much, Greg, Eric, and Jim. I really appreciate this thing. I'm going to have to make notes. Unfortunately, the owner of the company was a new guy who took over. He's away for vacations, finally. I'm going to make the notes for him. There's like 3-4 pages of notes that I made all throughout to how they added, because I kind of had an idea what challenges we're facing. And I with Job Boss, and I figured that a lot of things what you mentioned could solve that 100%. And I like that it's very user friendly. One of the things is to train people on new softwares. Having to build the procedures is so hard.
Right.
So it's very user friendly. That is definitely one of the things that I'm interested in. That it's playable, like people can click and learn kind of thing themselves if the processes are always available in it, and the fact that you can modify a process.